Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Frank Bryant over here at Medicare Gurus and Insurance Sales. We are doing our daily sales JoJo, as anyone who's already tuned in might know. Every day at lunchtime, we come in here and we just talk sales and talk about real issues and real topics that are happening on the floor as we speak now. Now, the rules of this are simple. Anyone that wants to come in and talk about anything can come in and talk about anything, and you will see people coming in and out of this room here for over the next hour. Some of us have to go out and finish deals, and others will come in after they're done with deals. So please bear with us on that, but it's how we bring you the content that you're actually asking for, which is how we do in real situations on the floor with clients. So let's start off. What we got here?
Sort of my Band-Aid thing.
Okay, let's start off with the
Start off on light. So there is this Band-Aid of the future, okay, that I've been using for like the past week. Now, of course, when I was in the lake water for 4 straight hours, it came off. But
Can we do a little bit of a back on the boat thing? Can we give some backstory on that?
All right, so I'll illustrate it. Just so everybody knows, I was in a boating accident here on Saturday that actually our family boat capsized in Lake Belton. And luckily everybody was safe except for one dog that we had to tether to the console. I had to swim under the boat and unleash it. So it's been hectic Saturday, and we had family in town.
And you lost your phone and your iPhone.
And I lost my phone and my Apple Watch and my wallet.
Yeah.
So I've got $60 until Friday. So
But you're still here on Monday.
we're still here. Still
There you
here on
go.
Monday at 7:20.
There you go.
So this Band-Aid, it is one where you don't need any Neosporin, no antiseptic, nothing like that. It just has to be dry. But the way it works is there's no pad in the middle.
Mhm.
It's just one thing, kind of like that Flex Seal tape itself. What it does, though, is it seals off the area, and I guess the gases, as the wound heals, expands the seal, so there's an air pocket above it. So that's why there's that bump right there, because that's air in the Band-Aid. And they're made to be like last a whole week, and then you change them.
Excellent.
So it's drying out, but it's contained so it doesn't get. And I bought them, and I didn't know what it was. I was just like, yeah, these are like bougie Band-Aids. like maybe it'll help. And then after I had it on, I was like, this is so weird. It's like I just have this bump.
So have you told your clients, any of the clients you talked to about this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, yeah. I was telling about the bougie Band-Aids.
You have bougie Band-Aids.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it.
And you know what the funny thing is? People ask me, like, oh, like, what do you have on them? Like, Batman. Or are they Dapper Dan? And I was like, no, I don't have a Batman one. This is the adult bougie.
Race cars.
Yeah. SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Okay, SpongeBob. See, that's the cool thing about it. People think that when we talk about these things, like, oh, what would you talk? You talk to your clients just like you talk to people here. It's the same stories.
Yeah.
I had a client today that I just enrolled. Just got an over-the-counter benefit, and I remember you talking about him when I told her about those Band-Aids.
Yeah.
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 She was very excited.
Bougie Band-Aids.
I'm telling you. So it's just by stocking it now, Lord.
Yeah, it was a funny conversation.
Yeah. So, man, you already had one this morning. It's been a busy morning this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I got John, brand new guy. He's doing a double. He just did his, I mean, he's done one every day that he's been on the phone now.
Yeah, he sounds good.
Yeah, he sounds really good. He just had to get out of his own way. Too much explaining at the very beginning.
Well, talking about my experience, I was like that too. Coming from education, I wanted to educate the heck out of all my clients.
Right.
Oh, I know everything about Medicare. Let me tell you everything about Medicare. And they're like, can I just buy a plan, please?
Can you not force your knowledge down my ear hole?
Yeah.
And
I was super stubborn. I'm like, no, they're going to learn from me. I'm an educator. They're going to learn. So it took a good while, and to get out of my own way. Like, Grip, just you know, just talk to them and listen to them and answer their questions.
Right.
Because once they ask questions and you answer them to their level and they get it, then you're going to have a client that trusts you.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean,
I think also the one that I did this morning was actually a rewrite of one of my own policies, but there comes a point to where even us as agents, if it ever comes to rewriting your own stuff, there comes a point to where helping the client is worth more than the renewal on it.
of course.
In doing it. So like this lady here, this is just her second anniversary. She's went from 160 up to 220. So I know I'm going to get a chargeback on some of the renewals, but I was able to write her back under 160, and it's already approved for July 1st.
You know, you're not going to get a chargeback on your renewals because they're paid as earned. So you just will
There
stop
you
getting the renewal going forward
There you go.
because you've already paid back that full 12-month advance on that sub.
Yeah, since we're at the 2-year mark.
Yeah,
So
so you're getting paid as earned unless you did a quarterly.
Mhm.
So
it's one that, for her, even though that policy is only 2 years, I mean, what is that? 23 months old. It,
what carrier was it?
I'm not going to say.
Give me a hint.
It ends in a vowel. There you go. So, I mean, she jumped up $60 in 2 years, and she was still super healthy. Went with Aetna, automatic underwriting, already approved. Set it for July 1st. So
Say Aetna.
Yeah, I'll say the one that approved it.
Yeah.
But set it for July 1st because she doesn't have any appointments or anything like that. And so she was completely fine with getting an electronic card. But it's one that I called her this morning. I left her voicemail already this month, just checking in on her for her anniversary. But I told her, I was like, look, I ran the numbers. We need to address this and get this taken care of. So I need you to call me back before July 1st so we can do it. And an hour later, she called, wrote it up. But besides saving her money, the trust that she has in me, she had this old Medico dental plan that she's had for 7 years, and it's like $36.
Yeah.
And she said she's running into the issue now where her new dentist doesn't take it. So she was like, what do you recommend I do? So the very first thing I did, I got the dentist name. I go, I need to know who your dentist is so I can see their network. Look it up. The only one that they deal with is Delta.
Yeah.
Which only Delta can handle. So for her, it would not help her whatsoever if I got her a Cigna PPO dental plan and Aetna PPO mutual PPO, because she's still going to pay the higher out of network costs for it.
Right.
Instead, I went on Delta's website, got their phone number. I did a preview of the plan. So it was like, look, you need to enroll in their basic plan because your dentist takes it. It's going to be $6 less a month, and it's pretty much going to be the exact same coverage that you have. But I'm not appointed to do it. But as the person looking over all this is what I recommend to you. And she was just so grateful for it.
Right.
Because even though I couldn't help her, she still wanted, what should I do?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. You're going to keep a client because you're servicing the client on everything you can help with, not necessarily everything that you're appointed with. That's just, too many times people just throw away money. Throw it away. Oh, well, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to borrow. Well, you're not going to get anything if you don't do a good job. I heard the way you approach things is really awesome because I enjoy watching you do it because in a way I can see the training that you had as sports management, sports agent manager. You were going to be an agent, right? And then dealing with those things where you see, okay, that's the kind of thing like someone that's working for J.J. Watt would do. No, seriously, it's like, okay, found everything over here. The signing bonus looks good, but they don't pay you if you get injured. Let's go ahead and scratch that. And that proactive approach is what people really see. And that's what insurance agents used to be, right? And we still are. So it's really good to see that and to see that you go, okay, we're going to look at you as a person, as a holistic venture, and your overall financial and health situation. This is my recommendation, regardless of whether or not I sell it. I'll get 2 or 3 other policies out of this interaction somewhere else. I don't need to get everything because I don't need to be in a position to lie to you. And if you're in a position to where a couple of dollars is really breaking your bank, then you're not doing it right.
Oh yeah, and it's also one too. You have to put yourself in their shoes and see their way, but also you have to understand what type of interactions you're going to have post sale. When at any time when they're using the dental PPO network, it gets hairy. Stuff gets declined. You have to pay outright for stuff, and it's one where it's, I don't want to say it's a headache, but a lot of it is a headache. It's a lot of we have to call this person, we have to call that person, they have to rebill, blah blah blah. 'Cause it's not Medicare. It's not how Medicare operates,
Right.
And it's so much more peace of mind than just going, oh, okay, well, let's see, I can make a sale off this, but it's not going to put her in the best position Because I could have sold her a PPO with Cigna where it waived the major. She didn't need anything major. She just wanted something that they took.
Mm-hmm.
And, could have been easy done. I already did the sup. But for her, it wasn't the best thing. Because that's like saying you can go to your doctor that's in network, or I can get you this Advantage plan that has out-of-network care that doesn't have him in network, and you can go and see him as out-of-network. Well, you're going to pay more.
Oh, yeah.
The other way. Just get the doctor in network.
And I love I've never, okay, I can't say I've never. I always hear people say, I love my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I very rarely hear anyone say, I love my dentist.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're right.
they're like, oh, my dentist's all right. Still hurts every damn time I go there.
I like my dentist. I hate the hygienist that he has.
Really?
Oh God! Like he's a cool like back when I was working for the hockey team. Like he's like your age group.
Mm-hmm.
But he would come in. He would like dap me up. He'd be like, "Hey bro, what's going on?" I'd be like, "Hey man," I'd like slide him tickets and everything. He'd come in. It would take 30 seconds. Like, yeah, everything's fine.
Right.
Like you're good. I'll see you in 6 months. And I'm like, perfect.
Plus, he knows you're feeding him hockey players, which is big business for him.
They switched up like their hygienist now, and every time you go in, I feel like I'm going to get an oil change.
Really?
And they're like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I'm like, this wasn't wrong 6 months ago. Like, something changed here in the past few years. Because like when I went in, he'd just dap me up. Hey, you're all good. See you next time. Thanks for the tickets. Let me know if you need anything. And then he just brought in like a whole new set of hygienists. And every time you go in now, it's like, well, you need this done, you need this done, you need this done on top of that as well too. I'm like, really? Because I did it.
Do I?
Yeah, well, to speak to that, the same thing happened to me. I was going to an old dentist, and that old dentist that I really like got replaced by a new dentist. So I stayed in network, and he did the same thing. You need all this work, all this change. I'm like, that's weird. So I got a second opinion, and as this really experienced dentist, he's like, you ever heard, offering to get stuff done for the sake of the business? Like, you don't need it, but it definitely helps my business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what's so funny is you talk to some of these seniors too. I know I had a guy that I was going through because he needed a deep cleaning, and that was like what they recommended to me too. And I asked him, and I go, "Did they recommend one for your wife too?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Huh, that's weird." It was about the same time. This is like a year ago or so. At the same time where they recommended like a deep cleaning. Now I was talking to somebody else, and they're like, "Yeah, they said I need a deep cleaning done." I go, "When was this?" And they're like, "It's about a year ago." And then I talked to like a handful of other people that had all these deep cleanings, and I go, what's the common denominator here? And I was telling one of the guys, because we had to look at like the billing and stuff like that, and we had a really long conversation. But I was telling him about it. I go, look, I've been running into multiple people where they're suggesting these deep cleanings every 4 months where you have to go back and everything. He goes, I wonder if there was some type of conference.
Oh,
And
God.
all these dudes came together, and they're like, guess what? It's deep cleaning season.
Right.
I go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't think they don't? Okay, first off, we go to insurance conferences and everyone talks about, well, this is what you can combo with and all this other. You don't think that at the dental conferences they aren't talking about, or even the medical conferences, they aren't talking about approved billing and things that you can get in there to bundle in practice, bundle inside of your own practice, different services that you can get more profit off of. That's the whole reason you would go to a conference. It's not just to learn, well, here's how you do a new limited post install. No,
Right.
they can watch it on YouTube now.
Right.
It's all business.
It's all business.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing, like when you're dealing with this, and people think that like this is a weird tangent to go off of, and it's not, because these are the same things that your client goes through.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we are ultimately the avatars of our clients. We might be a little younger, but we go through the similar stuff with our own healthcare, you know, and that's why people, I don't understand why people always default to wanting to bring up dental before they bring up final expense, because it's like, everyone's like, yeah, I need dental coverage, but I hate the concept of dental coverage. So you're having a conversation where like, I really need dental. And they're like, but I really don't want it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you really need final expense.
Right.
You really want to take care of those people that are taking care of you. And that's a far easier, like that came from your innovation right there. That was just game changing.
That's what I tell people when they're like, I need a dental plan. And I go,
There it is. The dental side.
and my first question is always, why?
Yeah, you have to
And
ask.
if it's the one, it's, well, because I've always had one. No, that's not a legitimate reason.
Right.
Right.
Give me a legitimate reason why you need one. What are you concerned with? Are you concerned about your teeth falling out? Do you have a lot going on? Well, what is your issue? And it's everybody that says, I break it down into two things. Are you looking for something to cover your cleanings, and then if you need something big, it'll pitch in a little bit? Are you looking for the Rolls Royce? Are you looking for a new set of teeth in the end of it? Because those are really your two people when
That's
it comes
it.
to dental.
That's exactly what I
You're
was gonna say.
very, very well taken care of teeth that have never had a cavity, a speck of any stain,
Pure
whatever it
preventative.
is, versus, oh my God, rip everything out, start me a new one.
Well, and then there's the difference in the type of client you're dealing with. For example, someone that's a D-SNP that's getting full like Medicare and Medicaid benefits or Q&B qualified, they're turning around and their dental plans really good.
Oh, absolutely.
I saw one.
$6,000,
I
no
saw one
copays,
that
nothing.
was with Aetna that had $6,000 for a D-SNP.
Yeah, these guys are getting. I'm surprised I see anyone without a full veneered pearly whites like
Right.
this. Because they're incredibly good because they're made for that. They're made for people that are really, really on that income threshold or even almost indigent.
Oh, I think that what's happening now, and I was reading about how Medicare is starting to consider, I don't know if it's a myth, but Medicare, I don't know if there's legislation for it either, but they're starting to consider dental to be medical.
They absolutely should.
Well,
Because,
when Medicare came out, they did not consider dental. They considered it cosmetic.
yeah,
So now they're like, okay, 30 years later, they're like, teeth does have something to do with health.
oh, there's a direct tie-in to cardiovascular disease and poor dental health.
And I think that's why these plans are starting to increase their dental significantly.
Yes, because also there have been cases where people have had issues like a rotten tooth, and then that rot and that contamination gets into your mandibular nerve, and then guess where it's going to shoot straight up into? You end up getting all sorts of bad stuff happening when you get major dental issues, and then you start getting abscesses.
Yeah.
Abscesses and infections will spread like wildfire, because they're already in your digestive tract, already in your mouth, and if that thing can last through your saliva, it's going to go run through your bloodstream.
I would not be surprised if there's some type of legislation. I know it exists. I just don't know how far it's gone.
Yeah.
If it does start to trickle into how much it's going to help with Medicare A and D.
I think it'd be great because it's a preventative service and such so many other things. I know there's going to be an issue where people are like, well, I don't know if I can get this done. Well, bottom line is this:
Yeah.
we can either pay for some decent dental care, or we can pay for a full cardiovascular event, because it's going
Right.
to end up being that. All right.
It's kind of like remember you were around, Frank. This was after me, but were you around for Plan J?
Oh yeah.
So Plan J, I remember reading about it, and we can probably talk more about it.
Back in the history books.
Yeah.
Back in my day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you had hair. Oh,
It was so glorious. It was just full and like.
blowing in the wind.
I had a fan at my desk just so I can do like the hair.
Oh.
I knew it was going to be short-lived, really.
Well, anyways, Plan J had Part D assistance. It had incremental Part D assistance to help with the drugs.
Right.
Because Plan J covered everything, just like F.
Well, it
with additional-
predated Part D drug plan.
Correct. Yeah. So it helped with your medications. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is discussed at the House level, where it's like we got to get some type of assistance with dental.
Right. Well, there's also the other thing where you're looking at the overall billing of it. It's hard for a lot of insurance carriers go through things like Dentamax and Carrington and all these other dental network plans, because they're so ingrained in the healthcare space and knowing what's essential for healthcare. Dentistry is a little bit different. There's usually not multiple doctors looking at your dental needs. It's one doctor who's also the provider and the servicer. So there's there's transparency, but there's also not that kind of control group. So a little reticent about it, because it's like, hey, the guy that says literally while you're there, we need to do this right now. And there's not really any time for approval. There's no extra testing. What extra testing do you have? You just did your bite films. He looked at it and goes, we're drilling now. Whereas everyone else is like, I just did some blood tests. We took your cholesterol levels, LDLs, and we're going to recommend this X, Y, and Z things, which you'll know about 2 weeks from now. That's a lot of time.
That is true. Yeah, because when you correlate it, when you look at the billing for dentistry, you have a dentist, and then he recommends or she recommends like an orthodontist, a periodontist, an endodontist. Like Yeah, they don't know if they're gonna get paid or not. You know,
Right.
I understand that could be.
Here's also the other thing that people always forget when any dealing with any dental program. They forget what the definition of emergency palliative treatment is, and that is pain alleviation and treatment. So while it might take a year for you to be able to get authorization to do a crown for some of these other ones, right? Some of those PPO plans, the Medicare Advantage ones are pretty much like immediate, you know. And in some of them, like Cigna's plans, you can get 20% coverage right away. But what people are like, oh, well, I need a crown. Well, a lot of times you're not going to get a crown immediately anyway. But palliative treatments, means they have to treat the pain source right away. So if you break a tooth, they're going to put a cap on it. That's a palliative treatment. And it also prevents further infection while they're doing whatever they need to do. So when I hear people like, oh, I broke a tooth and I'm just waiting, I'm like, well, you have a plan that has emergency palliative treatment. That's an emergency palliative issue. They'll go put a cap on it and your insurance will cover it. And your cap, I had a cap on this tooth because I was a loudmouth kid and got this tooth not like broken. And they were like, oh, it should last like 6 months or a year. I was 11. It didn't break until I was 35 years old.
Wow.
They're like, oh, it'll just fall out and then come get the crown on it.
Yeah.
Never happened. And then they're like, wow, that lasts a long time. We'll just put another cap on it. That's been 34, what am I, 41 now? So another 6 years.
Wow.
I mean, sometimes these things last a really long time.
Depending
So,
on the damage.
right.
Yeah.
Right, you know.
You just got lucky.
Tell that to my tooth. I mean, but I mean, there's a thing on there, and that's one of the things we kind of look at is don't be too subjective in what a client wants. The client's eventually going to figure out what they want, or if they really want it, we're going to get it to them. If they don't want to keep it, they don't want to keep it. It's not my place to tell you what you want. It's my place to guide you to how you can get it and get a good solution.
It's a paradigm shift when you have those dental discussions because it's insurance. You're not purchasing this to get things. It's preventative.
Right.
So when people are like, I need a crown. Well, first we have to see if you're going to qualify for a crown.
Right.
And second, is the plan going to provide a payment for that crown? If they just do it in bulk or if they do it for specific sort of services.
Right.
So I always use an example. It's like, look, you're not getting car insurance and then driving out and getting into an accident so you can use the insurance.
Right.
Okay. It's not, dental insurance is just like that. It is there for preventative reasons. If you need this, yes, you may need this at some time, but it doesn't work like, yeah, we're going to provide that service for you because you need it. It's preventative.
Or
I
like,
tell people that too. I tell them when they're like, oh, I need some major stuff done. And I go, do you have anything right now? And they go, no. And I go, well, just put yourself in this situation here. Like you said, and Penny's heard me say it time and time again. Right now, you're trying to buy car insurance for a car you've already wrecked.
Yeah.
yep.
Who's going to help you?
Right.
Right.
And but that resonates with people when you talk about the car. It's like, well, I need to get crown stuff. Well, what do you mean they don't cover it? And it goes, no, you wrecked your car, you wrecked your mouth. Now you're trying to fix it.
Mhm.
And you want somebody else to pay for it, even though they didn't wreck it.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, yeah,
They don't like hearing that.
oh, no, they absolutely
By the
hate
way,
hearing it, but
you made that bet and you didn't pay premiums for a whole years and years and years. You rode that horse.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as soon as you needed it, well, that's not fair. No. Everyone else got it and they were paying. And by the way, they're covered.
Just how insurance works, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
I just hate telling them.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I hate
And again, that goes back to a previous conversation.
Yeah.
Your experience with dental needs is a far higher threshold than anyone else you probably talked to.
Mhm.
And you needed it from an early age.
Mhm.
That changes your perspective of it. But guys like me, Grip, and Penny, we like the preventative. We like to know that when I chip a tooth or crack a tooth, it's done.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's just that's a whole different story.
Mm-hmm. I think it really depends on the person. I mean, here recently, when you're doing dental is always the easiest when you're talking about people that are coming off of work coverage because it's something they're used to, something that they've had that they're probably using. But if you look at talking to these people that are 75 or 80 and they've been on Medicare, since they were 65 or even before, a lot of these people don't have dental plans just because time has kind of washed away. where they're not so used to it versus somebody who's retiring tomorrow who probably has a term life policy, who probably has a dental policy, who has a vision policy, and who probably has a regional PPO plan.
Right.
You know, it's one for them that it's very accustomed to say, okay, well, do you want to go see anybody that you pick, or would you like the insurance company to pick? Okay, we're doing a supplemental plan.
Right.
Well, did you have life insurance through your employer? Is it something you need to continue? It's something we need to look at. Did you have dental insurance through your employer? Do you want to continue? I think one of the first ones we did, I was talking to Victoria about that and kind of how I approached the T65s and coming off of work coverage is you almost want to see if you can make it as exact as possible to what they have now. So then that way, when it starts, it's like, look, you already know how the majority of this works. Here's the difference. So your deductible is $200
Right.
versus $7,000 for the year.
You just have to
That's the only difference you have.
You're coming from different companies. That's all it is.
Well, and what you're doing
Same
is
coverage, just different companies.
you're doing continuation of coverage and effect in their own mind. So where you're moving to that point is loss prevention. Because you're losing this benefit, let's go ahead and prevent you from losing this benefit.
Yeah.
You know, to a different company, a different level, but you'll still have something. And that's really powerful. That really helps people out because people do seek stability when it comes to things like this in financial services. They don't want craziness.
I think that term, I've been trying to use it more on the phone, which fun fact, we'll have a new video out of a live call of me using that.
Woo!
The loss thing.
Live call's coming
out in a few days, but just the statement that you've been losing out on X for X amount of years.
Right.
Is these, I don't know what it does to you could probably go into detail about the psychiatry behind it, but I mean, it's FOMO, it's just fear of missing out. But once you tell people, it's like, look, you've been missing out on this benefit.
Right.
Or like the lady that we did the video on, it was one that to where, you know, she was gung-ho for anything we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
She just loved us. But it was one where I go, I want to make sure that you have the best thing. Because when we're looking at it, it's like, this is what all you've been missing out on here. You have right now less dental than you could. As well for her, it was a Part B give back. She wasn't on Medicaid or anything, so she was paying for a Part B. And it was like, you've been missing out on this $70 for as long as you had this plan. And you didn't look to change it. You know, that's why we're here. That's why we're here to help. So now instead of losing out on it, you're going to benefit from it. And she's immediately just like, yes,
That's it.
go. And I go, I haven't even told you about the rest of the plan. She's like, I don't care. Go.
That's all it takes. They're losing something. They don't. And it's always the people that go, like, I just had the same thing this morning. Lady was absolutely, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I refuse to leave them. I'm like, why are you looking for extra benefits? You know, if you refuse to change, then what's the point? But I didn't, you know, everyone else kind of goes into this whole like, well, let me explain to us that. But no, okay, what were you looking for? Oh, you're looking for an extra food benefit. You're looking for this and better deal. Okay, we'll go down this row over and over again. Okay, and then same thing. So absolutely, you can stay with Anthem. In fact, we can move you to a different plan on Anthem, slightly better, but then you are losing out.
If you stay.
If you stay on that, you will be forfeited and losing over $100 extra every month. And at that point, this woman went from, I love Anthem, I've always loved Anthem, to Anthem who? Literally was like, no, I want that United Healthcare right now.
So yesterday.
How dare you not even bring that up first? You know, that was like,
Those are my favorite, the people that are saying, I love my company. I am not moving. And I say,
company.
good. I don't want to do it anyway.
Right.
Cool. So how's your day been?
Yeah, exactly. But we also got another $10,000 extra final expense as well. I mean, you can always double up. And that was a great one because I got to show John, who's brand new. I was like, oh, by the way, you got your burial policy taken care of? She goes, yes, I have $10,000, but I need more. I went, okay, we'll get that done as well. How much do you need? I want 10,000. Okay, then write down these three.
Oh, that was just like me and Grip were talking in the break room too. One of my favorite questions when we talk about anybody who's on an Advantage plan or a D-SNP or whatever, C-SNP, whatever it is. My second question out of my mouth is, after they tell me what plan they have, so, okay, did you have a plan before that one?
Mm-hmm.
Because about 80% of people will go, yeah, I had this Cigna plan and boy, did I love it. And you go, oh no, when did you switch over? And then it's like, well, we can see if that Cigna plan is still there that you like so much.
Oh, Cigna's so good.
Just such an easy question that because these people, these poor people, they get flipped like pancakes.
They do.
Yeah.
And they find a plan that they love, and then guess what? 2 months go by and it's gone.
Right.
They're taken out of it because somebody called them and caught them when they were a little loopy or whatever it is, and enrolled them. Oh, these people, it's one question. They go, did you have an Advantage plan prior that you really loved or that you really liked? And people are always going to say, yes, I liked this plan better.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to look into that plan again and see what else is out there? Usually everybody, yes. The other one that we have to do later this afternoon, same situation to where he changed off of WellCare.
Yep.
And Grip just asked him, well, do you want your WellCare back? And he goes, oh, if I could, yeah, absolutely. Okay, done.
This isn't like a divorce with a restraining order. We can go back.
Yeah, nobody's
You
going to
know,
look down on you.
it's like
Yeah.
They're
No
not
one's-
going to look down on you just because you went back to your ex.
no, they're like, yeah. None of your friends are gonna be like, I told you. This is like Sheila all over
Stay
again.
away from her. You're
Yeah.
Right.
It's the first lesson in learning how to take advantage of the Advantage plans.
Right.
You
Right.
know, that's all it is.
Right.
There's no love lost from any company.
And by the way, anyone out there, if I was looking at someone who was not of Medicaid status, and if you are not QMB or at least SLMB, I'm talking to you about subs because that is a far better solution for you. However, right now, this time of year, it's a lot of Advantage Plan people, and they actually absolutely need help because they've already been switched once or twice by people who don't care and don't go into any details. Oh yeah, you want a little bit of better dental? Well, I'll switch you over to that one as a zero COVID. Oh, well, you just forfeited all your food benefits. You just forfeited all this. Oh, by the way, your doctors aren't in it anymore.
Right.
I mean, and part of that is like, teaching the new guy on the floor right now. He had already picked out, he's actually pretty quick with this. He had already picked out the exact plan that was the best thing. And I went, can't bring it up now. Can't tell him that. I have to bring them through the journey. They have to actually go through this discovery. I know he is right. The system goes, there it is. Sure enough, everything's there. Demonstrably better on every aspect than what she currently has. It's the only thing that's better than what she currently has, but it's a lot better on the things that she needs. And then it's just a matter of just going through it over and over.
Yeah.
She said she did not want to switch probably about 5 or 6 times. I don't want to leave this company. Okay, let me look at all the other plans for this company. All right, I got this one sitting over here. Nope, still not good. Tell you what, man, that extra $100 a month. And it's, I mean,
Yeah.
even the dental's better. Everything was better.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of taking people through it because too many agents immediately go to, this is better, and this is why I think it's better.
Right.
And
And then this is why you're stupid for not doing it.
and that's,
Right.
well, they're not exploring with you. I mean, at that point, am I really alongside with you with this journey? Am I guiding you on this journey? Or am I just sitting there berating you because you don't agree with me?
Right.
And that's the thing, when we talk about this and we go through training, eventually after a few weeks on the floor, I bring up the hero's journey and why that's so important. Because these are the stories that resonates in the movies that resonate with us for generations or even millennia, is because they follow a decision-making process that every human being identifies with. And if you're going to be that mentor, the gray wizard Gandalf, right? Then you need to be Gandalf.
Or Dumbledore if you're a millennial.
Dumbledore if you're like, oh God, don't start me on this. Okay.
Oh, is that the Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Did that just click for you?
Yeah, man. It's not. Oh, okay.
Well,
So,
to piggyback off of the hero's journey, like a lot of the business that I'm dealing with right now and being successful with are these people that have been on Medicare and Medicaid for a couple years and have never been taught how Advantage plans work.
right.
They just think, Medicare, I have everything covered. And if I just go there and say, oh, you're missing on Advantage plans, here's how they work, they're going to be like, oh, that sounds different.
Right.
So you have to you have to hold their hand, you got to pull them out of the Shire, you got to walk them through, through the lands.
It's the journey that matters.
And that's why I feel like that's the most important thing, is because when I explain to them through the journey, this is what you have. You're not losing anything. You're going to have all these benefits. But here's what we're going to do. Here's where we make our turn. You're going to have even more than what you currently have. And it's not temporary. You are taking, that's why they're called advantage plans, because you're taking advantage of these benefits.
Yeah, and
They love hearing that stuff.
And also, it really doesn't matter even what the plan is, because at that point they know, they're like, okay, I found the person that I'll always go to for this.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And that's the key is that,
It drives me crazy when they're like talking about brand loyalty. You know, oh, I love AARP. Really, do they come to your house? Do they bring fruitcake? Do they talk to you
one
about
of
the
them-
kids? No.
someone did. That's the point. Someone was over at a CVS or a Walmart, or someone came to their house and they are attaching that personal attachment to that agent to the company. And that's one of the problems that you got to break on there, because they tried calling that company and getting that agent in there.
Nope.
That's the exact thing I do, where I think it was me and Kim were working on one where some guy just got randomly switched through the middle of the year and we couldn't figure out what the SEP was, what was going on.
That's scary.
And we asked her, we go, well, what's the name of the person? And she goes, I don't know. And I go, okay, what's their phone number? They go, well, I don't know. We go, okay. Did they come to your house or did they call you? No, they called me. And I go, then we have no idea how to look at
How to address this. Yeah.
Like what I told her, I suggested her, you should call the company and have them give you the information of the agent. Well, she went and tried to call the agent's number on file, the number didn't work.
Mm.
So for a lot of these people, when we talk about the loyalty to it, so they're like, oh, I'm so loyal to AARP. Why?
Right.
Why are you? And they say, well, because they pay everything. And that's immediately when I go, you've been confused whenever this first started. They didn't tell you right. You don't love AARP. You love the state that you live in, because the state is paying for it. You just have a card that says AARP on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use for go ahead. I was like, look, AARP is just your gatekeeper. You just have to work within AARP's world in order for the state of Texas to come in and say, oh, those bills, let me take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those prescriptions, let me take care of them. Because the people think that AARP or whoever, whatever company we're using as an example is this high and mighty, because that's the card they hand over at the doctor. They know that's the card that is paying for them every step of the way.
Same thing with subs too, by the way.
When in reality, the same thing. Except when in reality, people don't. You have to kind of have that, make that disconnect. It's like, look, it's not the plan, especially for the DSNPs, for the SLMB plus, QMB, all these people. It's not the plan. It's the actual Medicaid that is doing it. The plan is just offering you extra benefits, and you're just working within their network. That's all they're responsible for. They're not footing the bill on any of this. Even with, you said with subs too. I tell people, it does you no good just to kind of show your Aetna, Plan G, whatever it is, because they're still going to bill Medicare.
That's right.
I tell them exactly.
Medicare still is going to pay.
Medicare is paying for the dinner.
Yeah.
Your sub is just picking up the tip. That's all it is.
And even then, the Medicare is going to forward that tip amount. They're going to auto put it right there.
Yeah.
3 days of processing. You're done.
A great line that I like is, I bet you in their Medicare supplement department, there's no human beings. It's just computers processing bills. That's all it is.
That's it. It's a pass through.
It's a path through. That's all it is. So your loyalty is to the great robots that are able to produce your payments.
Yeah.
Because that's all subs do. That's all they do. But those are great conversations, because there's a lot of silence on their part. They're like, oh, I've had it wrong my whole life. And you don't want them to feel dumb.
Right.
It's like, no, it's okay that you see that way, because you have never been taught that. You have just brought these two cards and you don't pay any bills.
Mhm.
And they also have an issue too, where people, a lot of people do anthropomorphize inanimate objects, right? And an insurance company is not a living being, and it does not care about you. You are a number to them. They have actuaries who are basically fancy words for saying numbers players, bookies. Basically, they run the numbers. Here's your mortality tables. Here's how much these procedures cost. This is the percentage of this area of people that get this. Even dietary stuff goes into that. They're really in. They're like, wow, Pacific Northwest, high fish diet, high omega-3, lower this. Oh, this place is a heavy smoking area. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, you're downwind from a factory or a smelter or a steel mill. yeah, you're gonna have some issues with that. And they go in and they see all of this stuff and they go, okay, this is how much we can expect to spend on you. Therefore, we're gonna make 25 to 30% on the end premium for the group as a whole. All of that stuff goes in. So you are just a number when dealing with insurance. And there's nothing really wrong with that. It seems inhumane, but that's the way insurance is. Insurance is a promise that when the insurance company loses that bet, they're gonna pay. Right? You're gambling with the future. Medicare, it's a little bit better because it's a zero-sum game.
Right.
You know you are going to get sick or hurt. No one just quietly passes in their sleep anymore. You know, Fred died of old age. How old was he? 45. You know, it's not like that anymore. So the insurance companies, especially Medicare Supplement, are actually playing hot potato. And they know it's going to happen. They just really hope it doesn't happen when they're holding the bag. That's also why you see rate increases go up around the 3 to 4 year range where it's like, oh, it's been really stable. Oh my God. Well, they're going, cycle that out, bring in this new company, reset my risk pool, right? Because they've been making that bet. So when people go, hey, I really like X company, they've treated me well. It's not a function of the company. The company doesn't care about you. The company doesn't have feelings. If I go to the actuary and say, oh, and by the way, they are really good at messaging. Oh, you know, we care about our clients. Clients come first. You know, we do this. So, you know, we sponsor Olympians. We also, you know, have pictures of puppies and your grandkids on them. And we're like, oh, isn't that great? But realistically speaking, you go to ask anyone over there and go, okay, tell me the name of one of your clients right now. Tell me. Actuary, tell me. Well, I know that we have 35,000 people that are 68 years old in the New York area, and about 30% of them are smokers. Great. One. Give me one. Well, I don't really see that data. I just have it doesn't have personal health information on there. Well, you know, the whole thing about personal health information is the first word, personal. So that's our job. So when they buy, they're buying from us, and then they'll go, if we don't sit there and make that differentiation real quick, which is, I am not the insurance company, then we risk losing that client long term, because they will attach all the great things that we have accomplished by getting them with that company to that company, and it's not a service of that company. That company doesn't care. And it's not supposed to care. They're insurance companies. They're not known to be warm people.
I was going to say, anybody that has put in a big bill and gone to the hospital, they love that company.
Right.
It all gets paid for.
Right.
You know, and that's what I have to deal with this on a daily basis. People get reluctant to change, you know, and I did a video earlier. This guy's cost the company $700,000 a year. He's not going to be able to change anyway because of this medication that he gets infused. However, yeah, you just have to go back to the basics. And that's the beauty with what we do here, because we stay in touch with our clients and to maintain the relationship. And you just have to tell them how it works, basically.
That's right.
You know, I say, no, the bills go to Medicare, you know, they have to pay the balance of the bill.
That's why the prepared statement's so important in our system.
Exactly.
And by the way, guys, if you don't know what a prepared statement is, a prepared statement is not a CMS regulatory required statement. It's not written by a lawyer, but it's a statement that you've made yourself, or your organization has made itself, to where I have to read this. And I have to read this because it's going to explain a lot of things that are beneficial on this policy, that are universal for all the policies. For Advantage plans, there's a different one. For Medicare supplements, there's one. There are some universal truth on Medicare supplements. And they're really great benefits. But what it helps do is, like Brad said, it breaks people of the notion that their plan is special and that they got to worry about this stuff. And then you're like, well, and it's also a prepared statement. Well, yeah. So, and then I always go, so you're telling me, right? That's all it comes in. So wait, what you're saying is,
That's their aha.
or you're telling me, yeah. They're like, so if I get another G plan with this company, it's the same with that company. I'm like, yeah, that's what it says. And they're like, but how is it $40 a month less expensive?
What's the catch?
I don't know, man, magnets, something, right? But that's when they really have that aha moment and they want to go through the rest. And it really helps. So, yeah. But the good thing is, if you're doing it preemptively in that prepared statement kind of methodology, before they start asking It's a way to avoid an objection. If you're having to overcome objections and they go, is it the same as my current company? Or I don't want to lose my current company, then you've already lost, right? Or you're on your back foot and trying to respond to them. Let's not go into remember that game of 20 questions every once in a while when we first started? You're like, oh, I have the answer to that. And they go, when they throw up an objection, like, well, in case it's this. And they go, okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? You spend an hour just coming back and you're just counterpunching over and over and over again. And they still won't buy, because they're trying to catch you on a lie. We're what they're really trying to do. So I don't know where we were on that, but
I don't know, we kind of got off on a tangent.
Well, one objection that I come across is not only people in Advantage plans and DSNPs being concerned that one company is better than the other, but people who are simply on Medicare and Medicaid, and they think that's all they need, and they're worried that putting them into an Advantage plan is going to mess some of that up, because they're like, I'm not paying any bills or anything, and so I try to give them a visual of, there are these dual plans. Dual refers to somebody who's specifically on Medicare and Medicaid, and it joins them. It's their powers combined, to do like a Captain Planet reference. Nobody's pointed it out yet, but I'm waiting. Their powers combined, and it adds on top of that dental and vision and free money for this. I said, you're not getting all that, are you, right now? No. I said, well, it's going to build on that, on top of that. And like I said, dual this is for you. And so it helps them to quell their fears that anything we're doing is going to undo any of the things that they have.
So have you?
What people are worried about is losing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Again, it goes back to it. What I tell people in this situation, just on Medicare and Medicaid, is you are not losing your Medicaid status.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that can go away and you have to now start paying every bill is if you make too much money.
Mhm.
So if you have any income. So your Medicaid, and this is for anybody switching Advantage plans, I tell those too, in this situation, you aren't losing your Medicaid. Your Medicaid is still there for you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that you're doing is you're gaining benefits that you didn't have through Medicare and Medicaid. That's it. You still go to the doctor, Medicaid still pays. You get hospitalized, Medicaid still pays because you're still qualified for it. This is just the extra on top, which you don't have right now, but here's the beauty of it. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for a dental plan. You don't have to go pay for a vision plan or a hearing plan. They give you some things over the counter, so you're not losing, you're adding. And then that's when normally people go, okay, that makes sense, that I'm still happy.
And sometimes when you can point out, you're not paying copays at the pharmacy, are you? No. You're not paying copays at the doctor, are you? No. They're kind of like, how do you know that? Well,
And you say too great, so none of that's going to change.
Right, exactly.
well, and also there's the dual thing is good, but also you're forgetting the second part of that, which is special needs plan. If you go through and do a really good discovery on people and say, I tell everyone now, because I started using this. Okay, well, you went down. Okay, what else do you want? Well, nothing really. I go, okay, that's not this conversation. No, really, don't parse it. This is your dream list now. It's my job to make that happen.
Say, what's your wish? What's on your wish?
You give it to me and I will get you either that or as close as humanly possible to it. That's my job as a Medicare specialist. We're going to do that. And then we go through and they're like, oh, well, I want this. Oh, yeah, 75, I'm thinking this. And then you can put it like this. If you go, okay, so the question on special needs plans and DSNPs is this. You have special needs and you're also low income.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's going to change on your basic benefit, but we need to activate or get on the other things that you really need that these are targeted for. So in your case, your situation, you are not receiving things that you're entitled to.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Those are yours.
That's the word they.
Right. This is what you're entitled to. You just haven't gone to the right one to activate it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and get you on the right setup for you. So you're not losing any of your benefits that you earned and you deserve.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I'll bring up that puts a little fire under them is I'll say, there's all these great things out there, and I bet, and nobody from Medicare reached out to you to tell you, nobody from Medicaid reached out to tell you, did they? No, I know. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Because they're not going to do it.
And even the IRS won't call you if you owe them money. They will just start taking your stuff.
Okay.
I love it when people are like, oh, I already talked to them. No, you haven't. You have not talked to anyone over there. You have to call them. They will never call you. That's why you hear us. We identify ourselves right away.
And one thing I wanted to bring up when you're explaining something technical, prepared statement, benefits, quite often people don't really hear everything and you have to rephrase it back to them, kind of recap it, but say it in a different way to where they understand it. Because I can't tell you how many times I've gone through A and B, prepared statement, and they come around and they ask me, so, am I gonna have to pay that deductible when I get hospitalized? They're not listening, and you have to make sure they listen and understand. Even if they see, does that make sense? Oh, yeah. And then they'll come back and ask a question that you just explained. It's very important to recap throughout the whole presentation to make sure they understand. It just it solidifies things. They listen to what they care about, but there's a lot of important items in there that they need to know that they may not be aware that they need to know it and they don't care about it yet.
Because they haven't heard about it.
Right. So you always, I rephrase it, so here's what that means. You're going to be able to go to any doctor, any hospital, anywhere in the country. You're not going to pay a single penny. And I'll say, in the way of Medicare supplements, all the bills go to Medicare first. They don't care what insurance company you have. They forward it over to the insurance company on file. They can't review or dispute anything. They have to pay the balance of the bill, and they all work the same way. So that seems to help. Because the last thing you want to get those questions at the end, does it do this or does that? And you just explained it all.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, and it's a lot. You're coming at them. And
It's a lot of information we take it for granted because we know all the stuff, we say it all day long, but it's a lot of information to give somebody all at once, and you sort of have to meet it out a little bit at a time and really talk about the things they care about first.
Well,
So I
you
think the
gotta
writing
figure out what
down
they
is
care about.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be giving a presentation. You should be having a conversation.
Right.
I mean, if I'm talking to a subclient, right, and they don't travel ever, they're going to give a shit about the foreign travel emergency coverage,
No.
right? But people will focus on that. They will. Also, without knowing how to associate those costs with those other, I can tell you, I've very rarely never met an agent that actually cares about excess charges as much as they should. Excess charges are insanely dangerous for a client.
Oh, yeah.
It's an extra 15% no cap on that coverage. They don't talk about it. They talk about deductibles, like those really matter.
Insurance companies like it.
Oh yeah, well, and that's another thing. It's like training materials from insurance companies are typically just like, oh, here are the features, and don't worry about that one. We really want you to go and put them in. Those are kind of weird things that actually happen all the time. And by the way, if insurance companies were really good at selling this stuff, they would have their own sales force. They would not be going through independent brokers. They would not be going through field marketing organizations, NMOs, or things like that. They have long since abdicated any real core knowledge. They constantly try to pick it up again, and they'll start a phone center, and it goes just pancakes after a while. And that's because everyone focused on the wrong thing, which is features. And you can't run a sales floor and you can't run yourself based off KPIs. KPIs are just performance indicators. They're not the actual goal. So you'll have a sales manager out there going, you didn't make $150. Yeah, but I made 6 sales. But you didn't make $150.
yeah, I can't tell you how many times the top girl on my team was at my previous agency. She was the top one killing it. Yet she would call me and
Written up
and say,
over and over again.
so-and-so said, I'm not making enough dollars. I'm making enough dollars. But what do you want to do? I'm on the phone all day talking to these people, previous clients or whatever. And I'm like, girl, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't.
She's still there? Go ahead and tell her to quit and come here.
I
Are you sure that top girl wasn't you, Victoria?
No,
Okay.
but I did get written up plenty of times for not making the sufficient amount of dials, the goal amount of dials. Because I had a great day. It was like I got a call at the end of the day saying, "Great day, Victoria, but I'm sorry I have to write you up." I was like, "Oh, well, that was a downer," you know.
Activity is
So
good,
demotivating.
but what you're looking for is progression.
Mhm.
You want to have progress. You can spin your wheels all day long and think you're working,
Mhm.
but you have to work smart. You have to move forward, and don't keep doing the same things that fail.
Also, let's look at it just from a raw resource consumption, especially when we're dealing with like web gen leads, which can be very expensive going to the website, looking at quotes, and then we call them, right? When you're dealing with web gen leads, do I really want someone, and I'm just using that because it's a pretty standard thing, or Facebook leads or any other leads that any agents out there. Let's say one of those leads is just just off the top of my head, $50, right? That's a lot of money to spend. Would you rather have someone that wants to burn through 50 of those a day to get a sale?
Right.
Or how about a guy that makes like 5 calls a day and makes a sale?
It makes the perfect sense, but managers and other agencies are told you have to hold your agents to a certain dial standard, and so they have to do what they're told. And I can't tell you how many times I was told, "I'm sorry, I know you're a great agent, whatever, right? Yeah, don't worry, doesn't mean anything." Well, you can say it doesn't mean anything you want.
They're cowards.
So what happens is you get agents focusing on dials.
Right.
Right. And that's the wrong metric. I want to look at.
Well, I made 200 dials today.
Doesn't make
Great
anybody
job.
else.
There is
Right.
a board with
No.
sales on it on every sales floor, not dials. I want sales. I want issued policies and persistency on policies. That's it. And everyone's like, "Whoa, their dials are low." Well, how are their sales? Start off with that. Well, sales are great. Then shut up.
Also, they would complain about fallout. Well, how can I bond with a client if you're standing over my shoulder if our conversation went just a little too long, or our whole talk,
There's no
little
such
call
thing
was
as too
more
long.
than 30, 40
Yeah,
minutes?
there's no such thing as too long. And I mean, by the way, these structures that get out of place and out of control, where you have directors and managers and VPs that have never done it,
Right.
sitting there making bullshit metrics and bullshit concepts of what they think's going on because they read some Zig Ziglar book or Grant Cardone book or whatever book out there about sales, who is also a guy who either died 20 years ago or has been 20 years removed from actually selling themselves because they're just putting out content so they can sell more content, doesn't help anyone. All right? You shouldn't be taking sales advice from an accountant. Oh, I did finance
They
major.
couldn't sell, then became a consultant.
Yeah,
Right.
those who can't
Those who can't
teach.
teach, right?
And by the way, there's some great teachers out there that are great salespeople, and their highest impact is actually teaching now, but they still should do it. You should still hop on that phone and keep your skills warm, because what you talking about 20 years ago and your perception of what you used to do, that changes with time,
Oh, huge paradigm shift.
right? And by the way, anyone ever met like one of their old crushes
Mhm.
and been like, how is this person is the most annoying person on the face of the planet?
Yeah, what was I thinking?
What was I thinking? Well, your perception of who they were has changed. And by the way, sometimes they've changed. Either way, it's not the same as it was 20 years ago, right? I mean, it's just not. Even in the time I've been doing this alone, it's changed.
Mhm.
The core concepts of how people act haven't changed, but we're at a different dynamic. 20 years ago, man, we were a different country,
Yeah,
right? We were.
they really were.
So I just find it really disturbing that, hey, and by the way, your leadership in any company, when stuff, it's the duty of them to go, hey, why are you asking me to do this to my people? It doesn't make sense. You better make it make sense to me. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And by the way, if you keep telling me to do something that I know is harmful, I'm jumping your head and requesting mass to go to the guy that told you to tell me to do this. Because now I
Also,
don't
when
trust you.
They won't even speak to you.
And I'm going to get in your face. You will make time for me. That's it. You have to do that. Because ultimately speaking, I work way too hard to have someone come in and just flush it down the tubes. It's just, and that's because you can, and by the way, You should care about your team.
Mhm.
You should care about their well-being, because if you don't do that, then they're not going to care about your clients. And then it's all going to collapse. So yeah, there's some stuff. Sometimes we say stuff and it doesn't make sense, and you guys go, "Why?" I go,
Mhm.
"Oh, shit." Yeah, I guess it just had a
You don't
lapse.
give that stock answer of, well, just, you just do it. Just, that's how we've always done it. You never give an answer like that.
How we've always done it is
Hold your feet to
the
the
worst
fire
answer
and
ever.
You,
Yeah.
that's the answer.
It's like the story about the woman making the meatloaf for her family, her mother's meatloaf, and she always cut the ends off. It's like, that's the way you do it.
Uh-huh.
And her mom came over and she's like, well, why'd you cut the ends off? Well, I just did that because I had to do that to fit it in the pan.
Oh,
Right,
I like
You know, some
that.
people, they just keep doing the
It's
same
right.
thing. They don't even know why they're doing it,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's just that is this. We've always done it that way. Everyone should always be questioning and developing. People wonder why you don't grow. Why can't I get my people to perform better? Why can't they make more sales? Why is their closing rate so bad? Well, you keep on telling them to do the same thing, and you don't keep on evolving on that. Victoria, your contact rate's really high. Your engagement rate's really high. I don't expect you to make as many dials as this other person, because you're better at engagement on the client. I can't use the same key performance indicators of your performance. And by the way, if you're top of the board, I don't care.
And I just assume keep doing whatever I'm doing, and you will tell me if I'm not doing something right. Until then, I'm just going to keep going.
Keep going. And by the way, if you're first, then we shouldn't be tinkering
You're not
that
first,
much.
you're last.
Well, of course, you're not first, you're last. You know, we're going to do Talladega Nights on this one. If you're not first, you're last. But you know what? I've seen a lot of people that are first, and they're better at it than the people that are supervising them. And I've seen them get dragged down by bad advice and being measured to a metric. That shouldn't happen. That should never happen.
Well, when I left my other agency, I'm like, gosh, I used to be such a good agent. I'm like, I guess I just, need to sharpen my skills, or I don't know what's going on with me. Well, it wasn't me.
No.
Because why is it when I changed over environments, now I'm flourishing, and I did do the same. I'm like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
No. You're great. There's always room for development. Even I still develop. Even Brad still develops.
Yeah, you should.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
sales is just a matter of and constantly doing it. Once you get the core concepts down, it works in any industry. Whether you're doing business to business, which I've done, or you're doing business to consumer, which is what basically most insurances are, it's all the same. It's all the same process of finding what really matters and then getting that, associating what you have for that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this whole thing, this is why we like doing this stuff here, because we start talking about real concepts.
It's constant learning. I love that.
Yes. And it's also a matter of sharing it and vocalizing it. I've been doing this now for over a week, and I haven't heard a bad answer from anyone. None. I mean, everyone has value to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
And
And everybody's receptive to new things.
we're right. And that's the key. But you don't want to crush that. I mean, I guess that's my takeaway from this. So anyway, guys, we're coming up over an hour now. So anyone else have any other topics that you want to address? Anything? Nothing?
I'm selling today, so
Yeah, well, let's get back to
I want
selling.
to get back to selling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go eat some lunch, and then I need to sell too. So
Yeah, don't be a slacker.
I've already helped out with 2 this morning, Victoria. I'm sorry. Where are you?
Never mind.
Okay, thank you.
Well, look at the board. That's all I'm saying.
Get on the board. It's Monday. It's Monday. So no, you're doing fantastic. Brad, of course, you were always killing it.
I like it when people just call me and buy stuff.
I know.
Me too.
I know.
One today, I've been
I
waiting.
feel like QVC. I just see with my pretty face, and they're like, "Yay!"
Yeah,
You need to get her
Brad, you just like
Medicare card,
buy this
it's like taking
Medicare
forever.
supplement today.
We're just gonna start calling Brad Dimples. He's just sending out pictures like,
Uh-huh.
More like wrinkles.
dude, you look younger than me. Okay. I know that's not a high bar. I mean, God, I won't put you on blast, but man, you are one of the healthiest looking guys that I've seen
Thank
at your age. So, anyhow, all right, guys. So that'll wrap it up for today. As always, if you want to see more and learn more about this, please go to insuresales.com and sign up for the AssureLink service. It is free and it's for agents only and producers only. No recruiters, no insurance companies, right? So you're not going to have to deal with a lot of stuff. So it's going to only be a place where we share what we know and how we can actually make each other better. Also, you'll be able to see more insightful stuff and also more behind the scenes information on how we're doing what we're doing here. So again, you guys, see you on the floor and have fun. So, all right.
Very good. All right.